You've been having some information download, a lot of stuff that you've been learning. Now this time I thought maybe, why don't I try to get some information out of you guys? Okay? Just to tax those brains a little bit while we get ready for our next session, which is a panel discussion. I have a few questions here. Okay? I'm going to give you clues, and I would like you to tell me the name of the car, the model of the car. Okay? And as an incentive to get you to your answer, if you get the correct answer, let me tell you, you get nothing. Okay? But just the incentive to stand up there, put up your hand and tell me what the correct answer is. Okay? Are you ready to go for this? I just have a few questions. Let's see how it goes. Let's see if you know your cars. This could be Indian, it could be represents the country.
Employee performance.
Ambassador, did you say? Fantastic. Please give him a big hand. And as I told you, he's about to get nothing. Here's another one. People's car. Beetle. Volkswagen. Why? Exactly. It's a wagon that belongs to the folks. It's the people's car. That's why, the Volkswagen. Give the lady a big hand. She's going to get only that, so she needs that. Okay, here's another one. This may be a car that doesn't exist at the moment, but here's your question. King's Messenger. Let's see if you can go far back into history. King's Messenger. Is there a car called a chariot? Anybody? Anybody who's been around in the 60s, 70s would know this. Rajdut. I said car. Okay, we need 4 wheels here. Anybody? Have you all forgotten? Pardon? What was that? Let me laugh too. Pardon? 2 Rajduts. Okay, we've got some funny guys in this audience. We may have a stand-up session later at this rate. Okay, so anyway, none of you remember that gorgeous car made by Standard Motors? The Herald. Exactly. The Herald. Give them a big hand, folks. Okay, this I'm sure I'll get multiple answers for. American president. See, both those answers are correct. Lincoln and Ford. Give them a big hand. Okay. A way of speaking. A way of speaking. Accent is correct. I heard 3 voices in that little conclave there. Give them a big hand. Okay, you spoke in 3 voices. I got only 1 hand. That was well done. Okay, a cleaning implement. Okay, the answer is correct. Duster is right. Give him a big hand. Okay, let's see if you get this one. I'm sure some people should. A Red Indian chief. Cherokee is a tribe. A Red Indian chief. Think carefully. A Red Indian chief, very famous. Should I say it the American way or in our way? Pontiac, as we would say here. Okay, this you should get. A kind of horse. A Mustang, exactly. Too easy. Just too easy. Give yourselves a hand. Yeah? It's time for you to give yourself something. And I think I've got 2 more. Let's try 2 more. A part of a flower. A part of a flower. Go back to your botany, guys. Petal. Okay, you've heard of a car by that name? Or you're coming up with one yourself? in the near future? Pardon? Stylus? No, that's actually called a style. It's not a stylus. Right? Keep going. Anybody else? Oh, do you know it's the highest selling model in the world? Corolla, exactly. Well done. Give him a very big hand. You're the only one who came up with that. And this you're going to get our final one. A sign of the zodiac. That's right. I was hoping you weren't going to travel through all 12 of them till we got the right one. But thank you. Well done. Well done. Well, after hearing me droning on for that long, now for a couple of quick announcements for everyone before we move on. At 11:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, TiECON Chennai 2016 is hosting an unconference on thought leadership through writing at Hall 4. If you're interested, please register at the bookstall outside Hall 8 before the end of the day today. Do not forget to fill in your name and telephone number. Also, starting now till 1 p.m. and again between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, we will be hosting a business polyclinic at Hall 2 on both days. This is an opportunity for you all to meet mentors and discuss organization-specific issues and concerns, benefiting from one-on-one time from experienced entrepreneurs. For the next session today, we are changing things around a little bit. You've had only single speakers. The gleam in the eye is now a running machine. But then, how do you get it running smoothly and, more importantly, take it to the next level? Up next is a panel discussion on startups with a special focus on FinTech. This session is brought to you by CAMS. I invite on stage our moderator who will introduce the subject at hand, Beyond Startup, and indeed our panelists as well. Let me first introduce him to you. A senior banker with over 25 years of experience in the areas of digital banking, innovation, and online sales and marketing. He possesses a proven track record of achievements working for two of the largest international banks in the world, Citibank and Lloyds Banking Group in EMEA and Asia Pacific. Currently, he is the head of customer franchise, digital banking and innovation at Citi. Please welcome Mr. Sridhar Iyer.
Hi, good morning and welcome to this panel on Beyond Startup and Financial Technology. We have a really interesting topic here, and to discuss this and analyze it threadbare, we have a very knowledgeable and a senior panel. But before I progress with the discussion, it is my pleasure to invite the panel on stage, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves and share their opening thoughts on this topic. So please. We will keep this session pretty free-flowing and engaging. There will be, at the last, there'll be some time for audience questions as well. But let me start the panel discussion, and before that, the introductions. Pradeep, we can start with you. Please introduce yourselves and some opening thoughts on the topic.
Thank you, Sridhar. A very good morning to all of you. My name is Pradeep Oommen. I work with Bijli Pay, which is into payments, especially on the merchant payments and the acceptance part. Prior to that, we're based in Chennai, spread across the country and supporting some of the biggest banks in India. Prior to Bijli Pay, I was with Citi, working with Sridhar in the digital banking space for around 5 years. Before that, as a lot of you are, I was with Cognizant. I've gone across the world, worked with multiple customers in the US and the other places. So it's been a long journey, but it's great to come back. It's great to drive something. It's great to be in a space where India is moving in a very, very fast trajectory as far as growth is concerned. We still believe we are a startup. We have not gone beyond startup. Hopefully, the timing, both in terms of the idea that we are, the area that we are in present, and the general demographics and the regulatory framework of the country coming together at the right time, is a perfect platform for us to grow and succeed in this space.
Chandra.
Yeah, my name is Chandra, and I am co-founder and CEO of fundsindia.com. We have been there for about 7.5 years. I think I was at TiECON about 4 years back, I think, on the stage. Therefore, I've been there for some time now. We are an online financial services platform for retail investors. I mean, in short, if you have money, give it to me. I'll figure out a way to spend it. No, to save it for you. Okay, that's pretty much. Some of you might know what we're based out of Chennai. Give an introduction about myself. Difficult to do it oneself, sir. Therefore, founded the company in 2009. Before that, I had 2 startups. This is my 3rd startup. One was in US, and it's a very similar company, 401k, pension plans and stuff like that online. And online was just coming up in 1999, I guess, 2000. And 2004, started a company in Chennai and Gindi, basically, which is a software company with financial service, who does financial services for banks and financial institutions abroad and stuff like that. And 2 of us, Srikanth and myself, started Funds India in 2009, I guess, 9 June, we launched the platform. Coming to the topic, it's a pretty interesting topic. I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody or most of you here are from startup environment or want to do a startup and stuff like that. That's why you're here, or already doing a startup. Beyond startup, I mean, you just have to grow. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, to grow, you need, according to me, you need just 3 important things, not just 3 things, just 3 important things. One, you need money, okay? There's nothing, I mean, I've told in several of my conversations, either individually or in a group, money is like oxygen and you need money. There's no question about it. There's no belittling it at all. I mean, talent, skill, I understand all that stuff, but money is the most important thing. I'm a financial services guy, but I'll talk always about money. The second one is basically people. Okay, people put money and people compete for the first place. In my mind, it's money. Some people's mind, it's people. You need people. There's a lot of people, obviously, talent, skill, efficiency, and stuff like that. But you need more passionate people. I mean, all of you are here, are passionate. Obviously, you spend your whole Friday or Saturday coming over here and stuff like that. Second is passion. I'm sure all of us have in certain degrees and certain levels and stuff like that. Second one is people with passion, basically. Third one, which a lot of us don't give enough credence, is especially in financial services and fintech. Regulator and market has to be on your side. Okay, I put them together because both of them are not under your control. Okay, you need money, you need people with passion, and you need a certain amount of help from your regulator and market to flourish in this market. I mean, took too much time. I'll just hand it over, and we'll talk about it more.
Thank you, Chandra. Ranjit, if I...
Hi, my name is Ranjit Punja. I have traditionally been a banker, 23 years with Citi, and then when one gets tired of banking, then you start a startup, right? So we started Credit Mantri. I'm a co-founder at Credit Mantri. We started Credit Mantri while the company is about 3 years old. We really grew our wings after we got funded last year in May, and a lot of it happened in the last year. Grown fairly rapidly. We are now raising another round of funding, and I think, like was mentioned, it's money that makes the world go round. So we'll talk more about what we do as a business in course of time. I'll hand it off to you.
Nagaraj, Mylandla. I'm not new to this team here from TiE. We've been participating over the last 5-6 years. My background, I'm from Indian Overseas Bank. Went to do my MBA in the US. Worked for First Data, then other payment companies. Came back to India, started my company in 91. So I've been a startup from 91. So every year you have to relook at what you do. So it's a rolling startup, I can say. Even though we are a mid-sized company today, around 200 million US in revenues, maybe closer to $1 billion valuation. I'm getting there, and but it's been an interesting story for 25 years. We started off with switching transactions, card and card not present. But today we are into ATM, point of sale, internet, mobile, financial inclusion, prepaid cards, remittance, anything to do with payments, end-to-end payments is what we provide today. You take the example of recently IDFC or Ujjivan, they've gone with us for the end-to-end payment stack without the core banking. Core banking is done by other people. So that's where we are in terms of our product stack, and in terms of the size, if you anywhere you stick your ATM card, there's a 80% chance it goes through us or through our bank we manage on the ATM side. Internet, similarly, 70 to 80% of the internet payment gateway transaction go through us. The big guys like Flipkart, Paytm, Amazon, all these guys are, and people like Citrus, PayU, all these people are connected through us. So you'll see wherever you stick your card not present transactions, it also goes through us. Similarly, for mobile banking, mobile transactions, we are almost like 60 or 70% of the market share in the country. Almost 80% of the cards issued, debit as well as prepaid, are using our systems at the bank level, or we produce the cards at our location. So it's an interesting story, and I'm in the middle as a company between all the fintech guys around us. There's a lot of noise on the fintech side. We have silently grown in the middle, but we facilitate both the bank side of the transaction as well as the merchant side of the transactions. So we are in a unique position, and we have seen the fintech industry grow, and I'm sure there's a lot more growth to happen. Hardly 5-10% of the market has been captured today. There's a lot of growth available today, and a lot of fintech companies can play a part in this place, basically.
Thank you very much, and that's a really
Rest of the channels. But it's, in my opinion, just like when ATMs came 20 years ago, people said the branches will die. The branches are still there, and the branches are still growing, right? When the cards came, they said the cash will die. Cash is still around. A lot of noise being made that everything is going to be cashless. It's not going to happen. Even in the US, if you look at it, still 60% of the volume is still on cash. Even after 25, 30 years of them attempting to move everything to online or an ATM related payments. So even here, in my opinion, UPI, BPPS, or any of these things, they are enablers to make online payments happen, right? And there'll be another channel rather than, disrupting the other channels. So there's a lot of growth available across all channels today in the country, and I don't see them being a threat to any major way, basically.
But do you see, because of UPI, the entire thing transforming?
It will enable a lot more transactions to happen when compared to what it is today. That is my, two bit on that. We are a big UPI player, BPS player, right? We enable a lot of banks on the UPI today. And on IMPS, we almost 65% of the volume goes through us, today. I don't know how many of you use IMPS, but almost 65% of the volume we generate via NPCI today. We partner with NPCI, very closely work with them. So the almost 65-70% of the volume they reach is through us because we connect to multiple banks. Almost 45 banks are connected to us. So it generates a lot of volume for us today across all channels.
Pradeep, just staying on the same topic, the credit cards business and the cards business has been around for almost 25 years. And despite that, we see the penetration of POS machines in India is not as high as we would like it to be. You are in this business of putting in POS terminals, a new variety, of course. What do you see are the enablers in the market, and why do you think that the market hasn't grown as much as it should have grown in these 25 years?
See, if you take payments generally, there are two types of payments that have to be facilitated. One is a general transfer that happens between two people, which is typically what you call as a P2P payment. And the next one is in terms of merchant payments. These are the two primary drivers. If you look at volumes, if you look at any of the enablers, these are the two primary channels through which payments occurs. Now, with NPCI, with a lot of regulation coming in and standardization coming in, there is a lot of movement in terms of P2P payments moving away from cash to more of a cashless payments. Now, even if you look at that space, For example, IMPS is a classic case, right? Payments, if you look at it 2 years back, on a Saturday or a Sunday, you could not do payments, or payments took anywhere between 3 to 4 hours to get it processed. Today with NPCI and IMPS, it is instant payments, 24/7. You can do P2P payments. Another enabler has been mobile. People are moving more and more towards mobile banking, and or transfers enabled through mobile, and that is what is driving the market. If you look at the other area, which is in terms of merchant payments, it is severely underpenetrated. RBI estimates that, or industry estimates that there are around 20 million merchants in the country. How many POS machines, or let's forget POS machines, let's talk about electronic payment acceptance in each of these places. You won't get more than 1 million people or 1 million places doing that. Now, how do we get the rest of them moving and rest of them into the ambit? Okay, there are multiple elements in this. One is there is a general inertia among people to accept electronic payments or merchants typically. And honestly, one primary reason has always been that the moment it becomes electronic, then it becomes something that you need to show in your books, something that you will need to declare, you need to pay taxes around that. There is a general barrier that creeps into the minds of the merchants in terms of that acceptance. Now the solution to that is also coming out in a large extent, which is through GST. Now what GST talks about is you get credits, tax credits, basis your input. So if you want to show, or if you want to get tax credits as a merchant, you will need to show what input came in, which will mean that you can't hide any of the things, you can't do a cash transactions and get away from that. Second is the cost of the overall infrastructure, okay, be it the cost of acceptance, the infrastructure, the intermediation cost that happens through various associations. So that is another aspect that works as a deterrent today. Cash, if you do cash, it is immediately accepted. People get the credit immediately. But if it is on a merchant payment acceptance infrastructure, it is not immediate. It is next day, which is something that possibly with IMPS and NPCI coming into the frame. For example, we talk about India. India is on, most of us settle on T+1. So if you go to markets like US or in Europe, there are even T+6 settlements, which is on the 6th day after payment is when the merchants start getting the money. We are far, our market dynamics have come so far that merchants demand either funds. We do settlements to certain merchants on the same day, which is on our own risk. But merchants have started demanding that they get the funds and the credits on the same day. And regulation and the infrastructure has to move towards that. And the last one is, in terms of, there is a general regulation about card acceptance that is going on with RBI, and there is discussions around that. But the push is more on the bank side, that it is happening, that banks need to go and have so much of acceptance terminals or acceptance points, whether it's electronic, digital, cash, card present, card not present. But who are the enablers for this? One is the customer and two is the merchant. For the merchant, if he sees value in terms of accepting a card payment, where he doesn't need to account for the cash, he doesn't need to carry the cash, he doesn't need to, he can't hide anything. All these coming to the fore, there's a clear driver, and there's a clear driver for the merchant to start accepting cards. Then it is from a consumer perspective. Why can't the consumer, most of the people have cards, 500 million cards have been issued, or 550 million, I don't know. It's a huge number in terms of even RuPay cards that have been issued. Why can't consumers go and start saying that I want to pay by my card? It is very easy, you don't need to carry cash. And when they do that, is there a way in which you can incentivize that customer for doing or paying with a card or as a cashless transaction? There is a cost to cash transaction. Can we pass on some elements of that cost to the consumer. Because the moment you go into a shop and say that you are going to transact and there is that good cost, say 100 rupees, there is a 15% service tax, I'll give you 1% off if you do it with a card. There is definitely a mindset that will change. So you need a way, incentivization, infrastructure that needs to be developed, costs that needs to come down, regulations that need to be put in place. And to my mind, a lot of this is falling in place now. And that is where there is a drive towards more and more people coming and starting to pay more as digital form, more in a digital format, rather than with cash. So.
Thanks very much. Chandra, moving to you. Some would argue that the space that you are in, which is investment online, is the space that mainstream banks have occupied, and banks would argue that that is what their bread and butter is. But you've taken this startup route to sort of work in parallel with mainstream banks. So do you see your model as partnering with banks and giving value to the customer, or do you see the value in terms of competing with banks and giving value to customers?
Straight answer is today it's competing with banks. You don't compete with the Goliath, right? It's difficult. And banks are Goliaths, by the way. But see, what happened in our industry, especially we are primarily a mutual fund distribution platform. We have other products, but 75% of my revenue comes from mutual funds. Fortunately, banks have ignored mutual funds to a large extent, either because of the structure. It's a long-term revenue model, and it's not an instant revenue or instant commission model and stuff like that. Going forward, they are coming down. I mean, there's no question about it. Banks are getting squeezed in their CASA, squeezed in their loans. I mean, payment banks are coming. I mean, payment banks cannot do loans, I guess. Small banks are coming and stuff like that. They're getting squeezed, basically, and competition is heating up and stuff like that. They're coming down.